And that's the hard part, not getting into all the little things, just doing the big things.
Mm-hmm. Getting out of your own way.
Yep.
And heeding to my famous saying, the less I do, the more I make.
That's right. I'm in that book.
How are you?
Yes, I am.
You're in this book. All right.
Yes, sir.
Guys, you can get that book on Amazon if you want to. And basically, surely you ought to get that book, because that's all about getting things done for you and delegating and automating. And the reality is, if we don't get to work on doing that, you're all trapped in minutia, and this whole business is going to suck because you're doing everything, and every day goes by and you can't get anything done. So fortunately for you, we've got all the systems set up for you. We've got virtual assistants that do most of the work for you, and we got outsourced companies that'll do the rest of it. So I want you to keep in mind, when you come to Planet Ron, we're going to spend as much time getting you automated than we are on real estate, so we can get you working the business working without you, so you can actually enjoy life. And then maybe you can send us a picture of you holding up the Leaning Tower of Pizza. All right, so there's really only two types of houses in the pretty house business, and one, they come with debt or they don't. About a third of the houses in the country are free and clear. The rest of them have some kind of a debt on them where the seller owes some kind of a lender. Well, we're going to be doing deals with both of these types of sellers. So I'm going to go over one of my recent ones here and try to give you an example of what I'm talking about. But gosh, I could be doing that for about 3 hours nonstop. So here's a house that I recently bought. The after repair value, in other words, the market value at that time, if in good shape, would have been $250,000. The seller owed $182,000 on it, with 24 years left on their note. And the payment was $1,582 a month, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. The seller was asking what they owed. So it came right in on our property information sheet that they would be happy to sell the house if somebody would take over their debt or pay off their loan. So I bought the house for what they owed. And the repairs were minimal. I only spent about $3,000 on it. And in this case, it cost me $2,500 to close it. So I literally had $5,500 in this house, which if I didn't have it, I'd have put it on my Visa card. And if I didn't have a Visa card, I'd have got somebody else to put it up and made it worth their while. Now, there's no personal liability on this, and there was no balloon. I negotiated this thing that I take over their debt, so I can't change the terms of it. It is what it is. And, of course, I'm never going to sign personally on it. So I bought it in a grantor revocable trust, which I'll teach you to do in 50 states. So there's no liability. The trustee signed on the note. I mean, actually, there was no note because I just took over this debt. So no liability to you, no liability to me on this one.
Okay, so what did I do with this house? Well, I put it on the market as a lease purchase, which, by the way, in itself will attract all of the people who are looking to buy a house that they cannot qualify for at the bank. I'll come back to that in a minute. I got an option deposit of $30,000, non-refundable option deposit, and gave them a 2-year lease at their request, and they're paying me $2,000 a month for rent. And again, that's for rent. None of that goes toward their purchase price. Of course, the option deposit is applied directly to their down payment. This whole deal took me 18 days from the day I bought it to the day I put a tenant buyer in it. And to this day, I still own this house. So what did I gain? Well, I got $30,000, but it cost me $5,500 in closing costs and a little bit of repair. So I netted $24,500 out of that. I get $418 a month for 24 years, actually, or until my tenant buyer cashes me out. And I got $58,000 worth of free equity. And boy, I love that. Well, I guess you could call it free. I mean, I did put out $5,500, but I got back $30,000. So to me, that's free. It took me 18 days on a house that I'd had almost no money in, no credit, no risk because I didn't guarantee any debt, very small repairs, no banks, no realtors, no short sales, no costly entanglements, nobody telling me what to do. We call that a golden goose around here. Plus, all the responsibility for the repairs goes on my tenant buyer. Anytime I put a tenant buyer in a house, it's a condition of their option. They are responsible for 100% of the repairs after the first 30 days. So I warrant the systems for 30 days. Now, keep in mind, when I buy these houses, they're in excellent condition, most of them, and they're they're not old, crappy junk. So I'm not concerned about warranting the systems for the first 30 days. Very rarely do I ever have to even do anything in the first 30 days. So, and yes, it is legal. It is legal to make the tenant buyer do the repairs as long as it is part of the option. Okay, since you're going to close with an attorney, you can have that conversation with them at that time. All right, here's the big question. But Ron, why don't they just go to the bank? And the answer is because they can't go to the bank because they cannot qualify at the bank yet. 70% of the potential buyers for homes out there cannot qualify yet. Our whole business is putting them in the house and giving them time to fix whatever's broke so that they ultimately can qualify. Here's a chart that I got off the internet, and this says that 32% of the applicants with less than perfect credit were denied mortgages in 2017. Keep in mind, that's 32% of the applicants. I think that's closer to 70% because the rest of them just don't apply because they think they can't qualify.